So Rafa, welcome. We've said hello. We know your name. We know Ujji is a company name. For those of you that haven't come across Ujji before, can you tell us a little bit more about you, your business, what the company does, but in the spirit of keeping the sales focus, who are you selling to? What makes it unique? Give us the top to bottom version of Ujji.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Ben. So yeah, what's Uji all about? So essentially, Uji is basically solving a personal pain I felt back in the day when I was scaling both of my previous ventures. My co-founder Ludmila has also had two startups in the past. We were just basically completely swamped when we were building these businesses. When we were just like getting them out into market, building the product, doing our first hires. You know this better than I do. Founders and business leaders in the startup and scale up world, they're always spinning plates. And we just felt we were always also micromanaging, dipping in and out of each and every work stream, simply because we didn't trust that our teams would actually achieve their KPIs on their own. And when we started to drill into this problem a bit deeper, we found out that actually this is a result of the lack of training and learning and development within the startup and scale up world. Essentially, this is very much the sort of thing that's always been put in the backseat and kicked down the road within these fast-paced work environments of startups and scale-ups. Because up until today, all of the solutions were catering to enterprise and big corporates. But as you know, we're not all Coca-Colas of the world with millions and millions to spend on a full blown out learning and development team that will be building like courses out on the traditional LMS or LXP platforms. So instead, we just went about in creating learning and development software as a service for scale ups. So L&D SaaS, in which we have the starter plan containing over 400 plus hours of behavioral and technical skills training, delivering against the specifics that startup and scale up professionals need to lead their work streams. And then we have the Pro Plan, which contains Ujji AI, which helps company build their bespoke training in minutes. So anything on new hire onboarding, culture building, lead generation, sales processes, CRM management, customer success approach, anything really that is supposed to be passed on to their teams, the processes, the knowledge that is uh, really baked into the day to day of the business, but has not yet been created in a more process driven approach to get new hires on board and really scale it across the business as the business scales. This is something that Ujji AI can build for these businesses in minutes off the back of each and every material that they may have. Documents, Excel spreadsheets, videos, whatever. UGI extracts the knowledge from that and builds gamified training, or even just inviting the relevant stakeholders onto a meeting off the back of following the guidelines that UGAI will pass on to these people. Given we're already so very much familiar with 30-minute meetings, UGAI will just really extract the knowledge from those teams off the back of a 30-minute chat. And based on the content of that meeting, it also spits out gamified training in minutes to people's Uji access. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. L&D SaaS for scale-ups. We're targeting companies as small as 5 employees that are just starting to do their first hires and growing with them as they scale, all the way up to companies as big as 500 employees, which are the ones that are more on the scale up side of things. So today we have clients as small really as 5 employees all the way up to 350, on the way to bringing more and more of the larger scale ups too.
Amazing effort. And it's like, in a nutshell, it is the bit that covers off everybody's desire to want to help their staff. Everyone's got the intention to train and develop and nurture, but the second you get into a high growth environment, we're all wearing different hats, we're all spinning plates, and actually there's always something that's more important. And I think unless you've got L&D baked in from the very beginning, it's really, really difficult to achieve. So, um, and I know this firsthand as someone who is a trainer and does a lot of training, even we've tried to build this into the culture of our own business, seeing how Ujji has helped us as well. Full transparency, we are a client of Ujji. It is a real game changer in supporting our leadership team and making sure that our teams are growing. So hats off to the way that you've developed that product and certainly adopted AI with some gusto, it looks like as well, which is very, very exciting. So congratulations to you and your team. If you know your world inside out, you can sell this, right? You can sell this to people. You can sell this to prospects. You lead with passion. You understand the problem intimately. Um, how beyond passion did you guys at Uji go out and win your first sale? Was it a process you followed, or talk us through what it was? We've now got a product. Let's go get some revenue.
Yeah, that's a great question, Ben. At the end of the day, when you're going about in generating your first sales, I like to believe it's all very much based on your personal network when you're an early stage startup founder. So we are now coming up to 30 paying customers, officially launched now a year ago. So just really starting to scale. It's all been organic growth up until now, given we didn't have in the beginning any sort of like marketing efforts. So really, it's been all about getting ourselves out there, really creating relationships with people within our ideal customer profile. In our case, that is founders and C-level suite executives within startups and scale ups, but also heads of people, HR directors, talent managers, even L&D specialists if these company have them. Usually they don't, but if they do have them, that's always a great sort of point of contact for us within these companies. But for us, really, it's all been about just reaching out with a very, very relevant message around the pain, and just really showing how we are going about in solving that with a very clear, unique selling proposition. Like for us, it's all about giving back time to these people that are spinning plates, that are micromanaging, that are dipping in and out of each and every work stream. They know that pain. They feel it day in, day out. Like I've spoken to over 300 uh, founders and business leaders this year alone, and they all talked about being swamped. So when you find that very relevant angle for these decision makers, they will hear you, and that is basically how we've gone about it. In the early days, we kind of like mixed and matched LinkedIn outreach with some email outreach as well, but cold calling. I always love when you guys say this. It's definitely not dead. We definitely do reach out via phone calls to prospects, and usually that is the time in which we actually get someone to hear to us, hear to what we have to say. So that does come into play quite significantly for us here at Ujji.
Brilliant. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, having a full coverage and certainly in B2B of email, LinkedIn, and phone is crucial. And ultimately, you're building awareness all the time. Now, I know you're a bit of a prolific LinkedIn user anyway. So, I mean, in terms of having a good standing in the startup space and being seen and be recognized, I mean, how important do you think personal brand is as a founder when you're trying to build a brand and drive engagement and conversations like that?
I think it's crucial. Personal brand today is definitely something that particularly even more B2B founders should think about. Obviously, B2C founders should definitely have this as well as a part of their marketing strategy, but even more B2B, I would say, given you're going to be speaking more and more with the actual decision makers that ultimately could even lead to a demo or even a closed win at the end of the day. So I really believe that personal brand has played a very important impact in the world of sales for us, but just even beyond sales, I think it has a lot to do with brand awareness and just thought leadership. Content marketing today is not to be downplayed by any business. I truly believe that for us here at Ujji in particular, it's all about educating around the short term impacts of not training our teams in our fast paced work environments of startups and scale ups. We are all very much aware, for example, of the medium to long term impacts of not training your teams, like the fact that productivity drops, the fact that engagement suffers a hit because people don't have the career progression that they need. They're just less aligned with your mission, your vision as a business. The fact that talent retention also ends up suffering. All of that is default. We don't have to be banging on about that. So instead, we're just always talking about the short term impacts of not training our teams, which is uh, us business leaders never having the time to focus on our own work streams because we are just trying to lead everyone else's work streams, you know? So I think the importance of personal brand has to do as well with really understanding what are the pillars of content that you're going to be focusing on in order to really make sure that you're uh, banging on about the right things and in a consistent manner so that it doesn't sound schizophrenic, if you know what I mean. Like you cannot be talking about each and everything, just really focus on the things that will really move the needle for yourself personally and for the business at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that really does come down to testing a few things. It comes down to testing which channel is working and where your audience are most receptive. It's testing the message that lands and doing it in such a structured way that you can actually determine what works in a repeatable process. Because there's a lot of business owners, even sales teams, established sales teams that will still go and try a bit of everything without a process, without a plan, and still not really understand why it did or did not work. And so having a sort of codified process will definitely accelerate the delivery and the performance of your outbound efforts. So you've got a personal brand. It's very obvious. I learned a lot from your stuff. You're very active on LinkedIn. You're very active in your outreach. Why and at what point did you decide that actually you wanted to bring in some extra help with building out a sales function for you?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, right, Ben and Mike, because I'm not a B2B salesperson originally. I had to become one, you know. I educated myself to learning about the ins and outs of selling into businesses. My previous ventures were B2C, and this is now a B2B SaaS solution that we are going to market with. So at the end of the day, I not only required stress testing the processes that I created for the business and that I was going about in following myself, a lot of trial and error. You know this better than I do. Like it's always uh, really about cherry picking the traction channels that work best for you, doing some A/B tests, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, scrapping those that don't, and just doubling down on those that do. And once I had a bit of an understanding of what would work for us, I just thought it was actually a matter of reaching out to the specialist to see if what I was doing was even like remotely right. So yeah, I mean, the second voice came in as a very important partner for us, not only to really validate some of the processes that I had already put in place, but also to really work out further, like were our messages that we were using relevant? Were the specifics of the channels that we were utilizing to go about and really target our uh, ICP correct? Were we actually leveraging the right tools? All of that stuff. Like, if you do not have the specialists on board, you're possibly just burning out time and with that cash, because time for founders is even more important than cash, in my opinion.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's, working with yourselves, it was interesting to see what you'd already had in place. And so there was processes built, like you'd established that. And I think one of the turning points for us in working with you from recent times was looking at what that buyer journey needed to be. So it wasn't just getting the attention. It was like, what is the process that that individual needs to go through in order to feel like they've had a good experience, feel educated enough to jump in, and we were able to talk about that. I mean, while we were working together, what were the key problems? Do you think when working with Second Voice that solved for you? What were some of the main experiences that you went through that felt actually this has changed the way we do things?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one because I am always looking back at this and really even thinking day in day out, what can we continue building on top of what we've learned in the early days, all the way through to where we are now. So essentially, uh, I think one thing for sure is just really understanding how you can actually move from the startup side of things onto the scale up side of things, like just really honing in more on the uh ideal customer profile, if you know what I mean. Like obviously we want to work with startups who are going to be scaling over time, just getting to get in there early, and helping them from the start, just plugging the gap of the lack of training with technology, with Ujji technology. But we also have to pay our bills, right? So that's where the larger contracts come in. One thing that we really worked side by side was in understanding how we were actually going to address the pain points of these larger scale ups when actually going about and reaching out to decision makers in these businesses, to a point in which now more of our clients are scale ups than startups. So that is one thing that most definitely has worked very well for us working together. Another thing I think really comes down to how you're going to mix and match the sort of levers within Outbound. How you're going to actually get into play the levers such as LinkedIn messaging, email messaging, and cold calling at the right time and in the right place, so that you're actually increasing the chances in which people will give you a chance to even speak to them. So that's one thing that I think we efficiently and effectively pinned down together as well, to a point in which our sequencings now are working very, very intelligently, and most definitely not only populating the top of our sales funnel, but also driving further outreach to demo conversions, demo to closed deal conversions. So yeah, 100% another element that works super well for us. And there's so many other bits and bobs, right, Ben and Mike? We've just been talking so much over this time on what can be improved within the world of Ujji sales. It's just a bit of a no-brainer to continue just trial and error approaches that will move the needle for Ujji and for other businesses within the Second Voice Pro portfolio as well, right? Because once you know one thing that works really well for B2B SaaS, usually you can replicate that as well, which is an interesting one for SV Pro.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's a one size fits all, but there's definitely a lot of learnings that could be applied. And I think the thing that I love working with you is that open to change. It's like recognizing that let's test, let's learn, let's adapt, let's evolve based on what the data tells us, rather than myself or Mike coming in with a strategy that must be done. It's like, well, look, here's the theory, here's the hypotheses, let's go and prove that. And we were able to do that, which is really exciting. So, outside of the results, outside of the processes, what was it like for you working with your SDR and the team over here? Like, if you were going to talk about your experience to others, what was it like working with us?
Yeah, working with SV Pro. I mean, you guys really pinned me down with the exact process you would use to help us pin down prospects. So I think that pretty much answers the question, right? Like, if you guys actually got me to jump on a call with you guys, I was like, okay, I need to give these guys a chance to get them to do the same for me with my prospects. So uh, once I got Harry to actually uh, also work with us, following him having reached out to me to work with SV Pro, I was just like, this is the guy I want to be close to the business. And it's just been a real pleasure working side by side with him, generating leads together, pinning them down, getting them in demo calls, iterating ICPs, working out traction channels. It's just been a real uh, educational journey for me as well. Like, I've learned a lot. I'm, as you mentioned, Ben, very open to change. I'm always uh, very open to being proved wrong, and I like to be proved wrong. I do have a very opinionated sort of mind, but I love to be proved wrong. So at the end of the day, like, the process is working with SV Pro has just been proving myself wrong and wrong several times again, which just really helps take the business further. So that's what I love about it.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And so I'm really keen to find out what happens now for you and Ujji. So what are you working on now, and where are you seeing the immediate potential for you guys in terms of the revenue growth and the acquisition of market share?
Yeah, when it comes to acquisition, I think we kind of like now hit the nail on its head with Ujji AI. I think you just actually start to understand your ideal customer profiles requirements following a bit of time in the market as well. We went to market with Ujji's starter and pro plans. The pro plans still did not contain Ujji AI, so we would actually work closely together with clients to build their bespoke training with our behavioral scientists, with our content writers. Not to say that these people won't be there to address the requirements of our clients, but now Ujji AI just helps this with a very much more streamlined manner, more efficient and effective approach to building the training. So for us, really, it's now just making sure that we are using this as an acquisition strategy more and more. What we're doing now is we're reaching out to a select number of prospects saying, hey, can we offer you a free of cost, no strings attached, AI powered micro training that Ujji would build for you on anything you might need, such as new hire onboarding, culture building, sales, customer success, whatever that is. Like, if you like it, let's chat. If you don't, we'll still be friends, like, we'll still be connected, all good. So this has been proving itself very effectively for us, because you get to work with the prospects before they actually jump in on a contract with you. They actually get to like test drive Ujji ahead of actually having their whole teams on board and so forth. And usually that ends up like building into a longer term relationship. So for us, it's all really about going and populating even further the top of our sales funnel, just continuing to get the Ujji brand out there more and more, so that we can actually truly deliver against our goal of actually plugging the gap of training and learning and development within the startup and scale up world. Just like Seed Legals did within the world of legals, there wasn't legals for startups and scale ups. Now there is. Ujji is doing the same with learning and training and development. So that's pretty much what's next for Ujji.
That's amazing. Um, Look, I'm a fan. I'm equally terrified that you're coming for my job with this, but that's how technology moves on, right? We've all got to keep on top of the trends, and I think any technology that can support the power of human interaction and engagement and education is only going to be a good thing. So, truly commend you and the team. I think it's a great effort, and it's been a joy to support you. I'm going to put you on the spot. One last question before we close out, and that is, as a founder doing outbound sales, what is the one thing that you would have done differently from the very beginning to give yourself the best sales edge?
Wow, that's a tricky one. I love the question. Uh, okay, so I think I would have stress tested more of my messaging with people ahead of reaching out to so many different businesses early on. I think that is definitely something that if I could have done in the past, I would have done, because at the end of the day, uh, we just very much follow the scrappy startup mindset of just going to market and just reaching out to businesses in the way that you believe will land for them. Not necessarily are you addressing their real pain, not necessarily are they actually going to give you the time to talk to them. So now that we have understood really how we get our foot in the door, like I would just really have gone back and tried to speak to 200, 300 business leaders before actually having gone about in reaching out to so many businesses that today I now have to like really go back and show them the credibility we now got, because back in the day we just didn't have it and we were too early for that. So I think that that is definitely what I would have done back in the day. This is not to say that you shouldn't be scrappy, that you shouldn't go and just get yourself out there, but we just did it in a way in which we had very a very big lack of clarity around how we would actually uh, address sales in particular. The product was like bang on. The brand strategy was bang on. Everything was actually very much in place, but none of us were salespeople. So again, having Second Voice Pro to address us on the gaps that we had within our sales processes did go a long way for us as well when it comes to that.
Amazing. Some great advice and lived experience, which is even more valuable. So yeah, look, thank you so much. Rafael Gupper from Ujji. So tell everyone where they can find you if they're interested in using Ujji.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find us on Ujji.io. That's our website. But also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Rafael Gupper. Ujji, you'll just type up UJJI on LinkedIn, it'll show up. Feel free to reach out to me, DM me, Ludmila, my co founder as well. We're always around and very keen to also offer you a free of cost, no strings attached, AI powered micro training on anything you
Always
might
be
need.
selling.
That's the way to go, right?
Hey, seize the opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really great chat.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And onwards and upwards, guys. What you guys are doing is very much needed. B2B SaaS uh, founders like myself aren't usually salespeople necessarily. And so we need to learn with the best. But also, what you guys do on the social impact side of things has a very soft uh, side on my heart. I really believe that what you guys are doing in terms of upskilling people to become SDRs, to set up their own career within the world of sales is definitely going to make a big, big impact in the world around us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.